everyone, I'm Alan from 3-4, and I have a new mic sort of setup situation going on. So you're going to have to bear with me on this, and we're going to see how it goes. If it isn't so great, or if my Alexa decides to turn on, then I'm going to throw myself into 4 pits of fire. I'm going to film it, and then whoever wins gets a trip to Hawaii. I don't know, none of that made any sense. So I'm reviewing Rick and Morty. Season 4 is finally done, and I don't mean finally because I didn't like it. I mean finally because of the dumbass, stupid, asinine, moronic way that they released the goddamn show, especially in the UK. So to anyone who doesn't realise, in the UK, in the US, it was scheduled for, I think, around November time, maybe October, November. But in the UK, we were lucky enough to get it about 4 or 5 months later, around about February or March time, which is utterly stupid. And I'm assuming that, just like everything else bad that happens in entertainment releases, it's due to licensing and great, awesome people in suits who think that they know better than people who literally make stuff that's supposed to be targeted at audiences. You are so smart! So I will talk about this during the review. Oh, by the way, there are going to be spoilers in this review. There's going to be lots of spoilers. I can't not review this show without spoiling a few things. So I am going to talk about this during the review because it had a serious impact on the way that I felt about the show watching it. Actually, as a matter of fact, I was thinking of not doing this review now because the whole series is going to be streaming on Netflix, I think either on the 18th or 19th as one bulk, and I think that will be a better way to watch it. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So America get it around November, October time. In the UK, we're sat there thinking, when are we going to get this? Oh, we're going to get this next year, February, March time. Oh, that sucks, that's awful, especially as social media exists and is a thing, and pirating might exist as well. Oh, not that I would. And things like that all exist, and I have to watch other people enjoying the show that you spent ages hyping up, putting ads out, knowing that it's very much part of hype culture. Hey, fuck them, we'll just put it in another country, don't worry about it. And of course the result is that everybody just got pissed and did something else. Pirating is something else. In order to watch it, and just couldn't stand the other people talking about it. So while you're sat there, people in the US, people in the United States of America, while you're sat there watching the show, people in the UK are sat there with a ton of questions. People who aren't willing to maybe pirate the show. We're sat there with a ton of questions. We're going, okay, so when exactly is it going to release? What channel is it going to release on? Is it going to be weekly, or is it going to come out as a big bulk? What day will it be coming out on? Will I be able to watch it on demand when it comes out, or will I have to watch it on TV? What package will it be a part of? If I do have to watch it live, do I have to have Sky or Virgin or some sort of other service online? You're all sat there watching the show and enjoying the show, and we're sat there with a billion questions going, am I going to be able to watch this shit without maybe pirating the show? Oh, and it's not over there, because Channel 4, the people who it came out are running the show, decided, you know what? You're right, we're stupid. We're going to release the show early, but we're going to release the show in about 2 or 3 weeks. So the new question is, are you going to release it all as one big bulk for us to catch up on so that we can be in time with America and not have everything spoiled to us? Or are you going to, which they did, release it a few weeks back so we still are behind and still get FOMO and still have to watch other people spoiling the show for us? Well, spoiler alert, as I just told you in the video, they did it that way. So we're sat there going, oh, this is great. I get to watch the episodes that I've already pirated, that other people have already seen, and I don't get to be a part of the hype culture that you set up for the show. Isn't that absolutely fucking fantastic? And it's not over yet, because the show geniusly, excellently, brilliantly decided to split. It wasn't the show, actually, it was whoever was in charge of that. Decided to split into 2 halves, 5 episodes when I just spoke, and 5 episodes the next year. So on top of having America have episodes before you, they finished the show when you're halfway in. They know what happens halfway in. When you're halfway into that half of the season, they finish that part. They already know what's going to happen. And you have to sit there going, oh man. And this is something that I don't think the people who made this decision took into consideration. When I'm watching it, I'm thinking, oh, I mean, it better be great. I've only got a few episodes left until the season break. And then when the season break happens, I've got to wait months. So this better be a really good episode. It changes your expectation of the episode. And this is what I was talking about earlier, where I said I think I need to watch it on Netflix again. Because my frame of mind going into this season was not the same as my frame of mind going into the previous seasons. Because every episode had to be fantastic, because there were only going to be a few more before there was a giant season break. So I was on ice. I was kind of almost nervous and rooting for it to be better than it was. On top of the fact that season 3 was tremendous and a fantastic season, season 4 had to be easily the best. I mean, way better, because if it wasn't, then we're heading towards the end of a season break with nothing as good as season 3. That had to be something amazing, and I'm afraid to tell you that I don't think that there was anything that grabbed me enough for that to feel satisfactory to me. So my entire view of the show had changed by the way that it was released, which is why it needs to be talked about. If you don't want to take this review seriously because of that, then I understand. Blame the dumbasses who decided to do it this way. It makes no sense whatsoever, but it happened. So the show overall, I liked it. Yeah, I thought it was good. I don't think it was up to the standard of 2 or 3, but you do have to bear in mind that I personally think that season 2 and 3 of Rick and Morty are some of the most perfect TV ever made. I really think that there wasn't a single bad episode in 2 or 3, and they were all fantastic. Yes, Interdimensional Cable 2 was a great episode. People just didn't like it because they did the same joke again. It was great. I mean, Man vs. Car, come on. That was awesome. I think 4 was more like 1 for me, where it wasn't all perfect, it wasn't all brilliant. However, I'd say the big difference between 1 and 4 was 1 had a couple of not so great episodes and the rest were fantastic. Whereas with season 4, I think it had a couple of not so great bits, but the rest were tremendous bits. It had some tremendous bits to it rather than full episodes. I feel as though there wasn't really an episode that I would consider to be fleshed out in a tremendous, fantastic way, like the opening to season 3 or Total Rick Cool, stuff like that. Some absolutely beautiful episodes. I didn't feel as though there were any of those, but there were some absolutely phenomenal bits, and I did think there were some great episodes. To run down, I actually do think episode 1 was fantastic. I thought episode 1 was really good. Overall, it was great, and I like the fact that it gave us sort of an entrance into Morty, who's been affected by spending so much time with Rick, and I thought it was a beautiful episode visually, and all of the fights were great and stuff like that, and the after credit scene is fantastic. You have to stick around to watch that, because that really rounds off the episode perfectly. It was a great episode. It was fantastic. Episode 2 I actually really liked, but again, I think it's one of those examples of an episode that has some tremendous bits. I think what I really liked about it was I liked the episode visually. Seeing Rick kind of like walk through those fields and everything's all bright and colourful. It's what drew me to Rick and Morty in the first place, was how beautiful the show was and how colourful it was. And that scene and the final scene where he sits down the toilet, I think, is absolutely gorgeous. Not that you would usually say stuff like that about Rick and Morty, because it's a funny show, but I think overall the episode maybe wasn't up to the standard of a truly great Rick and Morty episode, but visually I think it was. However, you have to remember that I'm going into these episodes with extremely high expectations, and at this point I'm at the 3rd episode of 5, knowing that there's going to be a break coming up, and I'm still waiting for an episode that really blows me away. And I think that's why 3 didn't hit me as hard as maybe it could have or should have. It's very choppy, very chopped up, very about being confusing, and it's a parody. It's supposed to be. It's a parody of things that are confusing. The final joke is absolutely fantastic, but I feel as though it was so chopped up, and I'm going to be saying this about a few of the episodes. It was so chopped up, and so this happens, then this happens, and this happens, and this happens, then we're here, then we're doing this, then we're doing this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And I get like you have to be active with it, kind of like making fun of not only usual heists, but things like Inception as well. You have to kind of be active with what's going along, and then you have to pretend that it's confusing. And I think it was purposely being confusing, but the issue is, again, we're 3 episodes into a 5-episode series, and I want more, and I think that's why I was maybe just a smidge disappointed with it. Made for some great memes though. 4 was 4. I'll talk about what I like about 4. 4, it took a different approach to comedy when it came to the episode, where it felt to me a lot more sort of grounded, which is dumb because it's about a dragon. But with Rick and Morty, everything is very high comedy, very stylized, very over the top, very colourful and crazy. Oh, there's a Fleeble flop that's about to attack me, and I better use my Blorble juice to milk it away. Nah, yeah, that probably did happen, actually. Yeah, there's all this crazy shit goes on, and just to have the dragon, and then the trap music, I can't remember who it's, Travis Scott or something, Future maybe, it felt more like, sort of like a Weed and Cheetos episode. Like, it was directly written in a way that kind of targets, I guess, a large part of its audience, which is people who get high and eat Cheetos. For the first time in 3.5 seasons, episode 4 had moments in Rick and Morty that I just didn't like. I just didn't like them overall. And that's the joke of the dragons having sex and being horny. It's just, I get it. It's a funny concept initially. They ran the joke dry so much, though, and you kind of expect better from Rick and Morty to not run jokes dry, but they really did. So episode 5, I thought was great. I really liked episode 5. I'd say 5 and 1 were the only episodes that felt like sort of season 2/3 Rick and Morty to me, even though I don't think episode 1 was as good as episode 1 of season 3, which is actually my favourite episode. It didn't land with as much of a thud, but episode 5 and 1 were the only ones that felt like Rick and Morty to me in the older sense, and it was great. It was a really good episode. Maybe the snakes were a bit of a too much joke. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. But no, it was a great episode. It had a big scope to it, some great jokes. I don't want to spoil any, but there's one I really want to spoil because I love, but I'm not going to. There are some really funny jokes in the episode, and it's really great. And Snake Jazz it was funny. And then you waited a few more months, and you finally got Never Ricking Morty, which is episode 6. This is a super, super, super self-aware episode. Very, very self-aware. And I liked it. Yeah, I mean, it was a good episode. Again, it's kind of like the heist episode where everything's chopped up, chop, 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 chop. Here, this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. They go here, they go here, they go there, they go. And again, feels like a parody, but they've done it before. But no, it's good. It's a good-looking episode. It's Rick and Morty heading even further into the bizarre, which they've been doing steadily from season 1 up until season 4, and now they've really gone headfirst into the bizarre with this one. It takes it to its extreme. I don't think it could go any further than that. If you've read Deadpool versus the Marvel Universe, then I'd say that this is like the ending expanded and explained. I don't want to spoil anything because, you know, you're probably going to watch it and you don't want that spoiled, but it's essentially a big middle finger to people, talking about the way that shows are written, and kind of to capitalism right at the end too. It's a good episode though. It is a solid episode. I liked Prometheus. I did. I actually thought it was a really good episode. I think it's the 3rd episode so far that felt more like an old school episode of Rick and Morty. It had some great stuff with like influences and cults and people just doing what they're told, and like, you know, people realizing it feels like stuff they've done before, and visually, yeah, again, some stuff they've done before. The Star Wars joke was fantastic though. Yeah, let's just do Star Wars, do whatever we want, and like all the jokes about blowing everything up and killing everything are absolutely fantastic. It's action done in a hilarious way. I really don't have much more to say about the episode. It's just great. The Vat of Acid episode I loved. I think it was very, very ballsy, and Rick and Morty is a very ballsy show, but to spend 20 minutes setting up one joke at the end and then making it fucking land was mind-blowing to me. I couldn't believe it. I almost died with laughter at that last joke, and it absolutely works. Even though there are some bits that aren't really funny and maybe don't pick up throughout the episode. I mean, at the start there is, but in the middle chunk, it's all to set up one joke, and it works, and I can't believe it, but it genuinely does work, and I was blown away by that. So it's I'd say the best episode of the season, I think, just because of that one joke. Again, I like Childrick of More. It feels like an older episode of Rick and Morty. There's more stuff with sort of cultism and, you know, clans of people and stuff like that, and playing God, which was a heavy theme of the older Rick and Morty episodes, and I think it works. I think it does. I think it's a good episode. There's not really, I mean, like, yeah, there are some themes that they've explored before, and maybe that's an issue. You know, like Jerry being left alone, Jerry being a loser, and it does take all of their characteristics and bring them to the surface. It delves into a notion that they've been talking about for a couple of seasons now, which is the idea that Beth is kind of like Rick and maybe even turning into Rick. And it goes into that, and interestingly enough, it goes into that just before the last episode, where it's kind of impossible not to spoil things. They pick up an old storyline. I'll be honest with you, as a huge fan, I can't really remember which episode they did the whole idea of Rick cloning Beth, but they bring it back, and there's one of them is a clone, one of them isn't, or something along those lines. Plenty of Star Wars references. It's a very visually beautiful episode. I'd say it kind of feels like a Rick Shank Redemption light. There's a lot of sort of explosion things going on. Although I will say, overall great episode and a good finale, a great way to end. So it was bookended very well. I will say that it raises one issue that I want to talk about before I end this, though, which is I did have quite a big issue with this season, which is with Rick. All of the characters have changed quite a bit, but this is, it's something that's been ongoing. This show is very dynamic with the way that it does characterization. Beth has changed, and I'm fine with that. Summer's changed. Morty isn't the loser, awkward kid he is anymore, but they did it well. Rick has changed a lot, by which I mean he is a completely different character. He's gone from cold robotic, heartless, genius, intelligent, to just apathetic, just doesn't give a shit. He's gone from being tough and being able to get out of any situation using gadgets to just not even having to try anymore. He doesn't even have to try anymore. He's just, don't really care. And I don't like the way that that's kind of translated to his character. I think fine, make him super all-powerful, fighting gods and Zeuses, given the ability to just summon a suit that will get him out of any situation whenever you want. But firstly, you've sort of made his character follow down that path a bit, and now he just does things without caring, and it seems as though he just doesn't give a shit in any episode. There isn't a single episode where it feels as though he actually cares about anything, and I guess he was never supposed to, but it really shows in the season. I'm kind of not okay with it. It makes it feel a little consequence free, and that's an issue with the powers as well, is that they're going to have to do a lot of power balancing with season 5, I think, because he just feels all powerful now. I don't feel as though he could ever not get out of a situation, and that's amplified by one moment in this episode where he's in a ship and he's surrounded by other ships, and he sets his portal gun to set a portal in every single ship that he's surrounded by. I think there's 8 ships. He then has a gun that has the exact amount of barrels that he needs and shoots one between every portal and takes out 8 ships at once and just walks straight in. I mean, it's just, he could always do that. He always had the potential to do that, but he's not even shooting them now. He's just literally, and he does it completely casually as well. And I guess it's funny that he does it casually, but at the same time, it just feels as though he doesn't have to try anymore. You have to have conflict in TV, you just always do. So I do actually kind of have an issue with that. But overall, it was good. I wasn't disappointed, which it would have been easy to, be disappointed because of the dumbass way that they released it, and because I had such high expectations given the previous seasons. But it was good. It was a good season of Rick and Morty. I definitely recommend it. I don't really want to do scores, and I might cut this out, but I guess if I had to give a score, it would be a 9 out of 10. Probably a 9.5, because it was, as I said, by Rick and Morty standards, maybe not as good as 2 and 3, which would be 10 out of 10s, but it was still a great season of TV. So anyway, if you want to see more reviews, let me know, and I will see everyone later.